Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is David, and welcome to our second Nirvana training webinar. And thank you so much for being here today. And of course, like all of our LifeWave training webinars, at the end of this one, there will be a period of time where you can ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer those for you, either on Nirvana or any of our LifeWave products. So last week was the pre-launch and introduction of Nirvana into our company. And of course, the official launch is going to be starting on September 23rd. Up until that time, the product is only available for members, so this is a pre-launch. And we also talked about how Nirvana works, what the benefits are, and how you can build your business in LifeWave around Nirvana. So this week, we're going to dig a little bit deeper so you can understand exactly how Nirvana is doing what it's doing, how you can benefit from it, some other benefits that we might anticipate as a result of how it's working, and also how you can use Nirvana with our other LifeWave products. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So, what we had done last week is cover the basic mechanism of action, as we call it, of Nirvana, and it's designed to release endorphins and keep those endorphins elevated. And, of course, endorphins are the neurohormones that are associated with feelings of euphoria, happiness, love, peace, being calm, less stress. So there's all these great benefits to elevating endorphins. Now, endorphins are produced both in the pituitary region of the brain as well as in the individual nerves. And, of course, there's peripheral nerves all over the body. So what we might assume is that if we are elevating endorphins and keeping them elevated, would there be an effect on the skin as one ancillary benefit or secondary benefit? And the answer is absolutely yes, and that part's actually very exciting. But we are marketing Nirvana for release of endorphins for improving mood, so we're going to focus on that, but we'll go down some of these interesting avenues and talk about this. So again, brief overview on endorphins. First, we know that endorphins are chemically very similar to morphine, with a few very important exceptions. So endorphins are naturally produced in the body. That makes them non-addictive. Now, that said, endorphins are much more powerful than morphine. This source here that I've referenced says that beta endorphins, which is what Nirvana elevates, are up to 80 times more powerful than morphine. The number that I used last week, which is very well substantiated, is between roughly 20 and 30 times more powerful than morphine. But regardless, that is, absolutely incredible, enormous impact. So we can get the idea that naturally produced endorphins in the body are much more powerful than morphine, and we know how powerful morphine is. So the question, of course, that comes up is, well, if endorphins are so powerful, then how come when somebody goes to the hospital and they have pain, they don't get an injection of endorphins? Well, the answer is that endorphins are metabolized very quickly, so they only stay in the body a short period of time. So you only get the benefits for a short period of time. So that's why morphine is used. However, Nirvana solves this problem through a natural system that elevates endorphins and then keeps them elevated. So it's the best possible situation. Now, there's a number of ways that endorphins become elevated naturally, and one of those is through exercise. So here is a brain scan that was done. This was just publicly available off the internet, and I happen to think that it was pretty interesting because it shows us, what does the brain look like what's the bioelectrical, biochemical activity when the brain is at rest versus when you're spiking the release of endorphins, and you could see that the change is quite dramatic. So what this tells us is that releasing endorphins is going to have a very powerful effect on our brain chemistry, and which are the neurohormones, and also going to have an effect on the bioelectrical activity in the body. Here's a good way to think about this, because we have done a study on LifeWave patches in the past, looking at what happens in the brain as it goes into a state of relaxation. So we did a study a number of years ago, and this was done in Tennessee. And basically what we wanted to look at was when someone is applying the energy patches and or the eon patch around the head in a specific protocol, what would happen? What would happen if we activate specific points on the head? And the conclusion that the researcher came to was really amazing, was that it would take about 20 to 25 years of practice of meditation to achieve the results that people achieved within a few minutes of wearing LifeWave patches around the head. And again, specifically energy and eon patches. So we know that that there can be very powerful bioelectrical effects when you relax the brain. And then this is that the brain begins to work in synchronization and harmony. So this is actually a sign of intelligence, where you get the left and right brain to work in synchronization, so the analytical part and the creative part are working together. So in any case, that was a little bit of a sidetrack, but it's just all to say that when you're using Nirvana, it's putting you into a state of relaxation. It's producing powerful changes, not only throughout your body, but also in your brain. Now, the chemistry involved, we're not going to get into this in tremendous detail, but the chemistry involved when we speak of hormones, neurohormones, is obviously very, very complex, but we should be looking at this holistically, meaning it's easy to get a little bit distracted and say, okay, let's look at, let's say one interest for men and women that exercise is they want to elevate testosterone. And the reason for this is that it helps improve recovery, you can exercise with more intensity, and you can build more lean muscle. So we say, okay, well, in order to elevate testosterone, what we need to do is elevate luteinizing hormone, and that is going to be preceded by GnRH. So, you know, how do we manipulate that system? However, there is an axis, a biochemical axis between the hypothalamus and the testes. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit too complicated here. I promise this is going to get way, way easier. This is just for your own information here. But there's a feedback loop that occurs between the testes and the hypothalamus, so that if you exceed a certain amount of production of testosterone, the hypothalamus will begin to pull that back and regulate it and start to shut down luteinizing hormone, so we don't produce too much testosterone. And this is a problem with anabolic steroids, by the way, is that when people get synthetic versions of testosterone, they're actually initiating a negative feedback loop in the hypothalamus, and it's shutting down the person's production of their own testosterone. So that's why anabolic steroids are potentially dangerous, and people should just be, if people want to do it, that's their business, but they should be aware of the health consequences of that, and they're not pretty. So the body is we look at this relationship of all these hormones being produced in the hypothalamus. We look at it holistically because everything affects one another. So let's take a look at our main subject matter here, which are beta endorphins. So we see that dopamine is released in the hypothalamus. Dopamine, by the way, has been used as a treatment for Parkinson's disease. And this is going to stimulate the release of beta endorphins in the pituitary. And, of course, this acts as a pain reliever and a mood enhancer. But what else is going on here that may be of interest? Talked a little bit last week about a neurohormone precursor called POMC and the different hormones that it will produce, and one of them is ACTH. And this is important because it helps regulate cortisol production in the adrenals. So it probably should not come as a surprise that if we elevate beta endorphins, and this helps us get into a nice, good mood, we feel happy, we're calm, obviously we're not under stress. And this reduces physical stress. And I'm going to talk about EON later because that's very, very exciting, especially with people that are suffering with depression, but different story. But in any case, what we would have to say then is, okay, well, if we're reducing stress on the body, this is reducing stress on the adrenal glands, reducing or balancing cortisol, and a number of significant health benefits comes as a result. Our immune system response improves. Some people might even get weight loss as a result. So just that we should look at these things holistically, and we can expect multiple benefits from elevating beta endorphins. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water. That was a mouthful. All right, now, of course, Nirvana has two components. The first one is a patented and proprietary oral supplement, completely natural, composed of 3 primary ingredients. This is exclusive to LifeWave. And, of course, we have a new LifeWave patch called Nirvana, and this produces its own reactions. More on that in a moment. So Nirvana has 3 components, actually. There's a proprietary natural seaweed extract. There is a oil extract from sea salt, of all things. And there's also an extract from vanilla. And all of these work together to do something that has never been done before, and that is to elevate the production of beta endorphins in the body and then keep them elevated. And through our tests, what we found is that this keeps endorphins elevated for an astonishing 24-hour period of time as compared to baseline. Now, if you were to take the Nirvana pills by themselves, it would elevate endorphins. The problem is that it takes months of product usage to do that. And people don't want effects in months. They want effects right away. So this is where the Nirvana patch comes in. So I've made a number of comments about when people could expect to get results with Nirvana. And so I want to clarify that now because there has been a little bit of confusion. First of all, most people will get an effect from Nirvana within a few days. So many people have written us and said, and this is the leader group primarily in our team, I'm not outside of clinical studies, the leadership team that was able to get samples of Nirvana between the middle to the end of May, what they told us is that within 2 or 3 days of starting Nirvana, they could start to feel the effects. Other people said, well, in less than a week, they were starting to feel more calm and less stress while using Nirvana. So most of you are going to get benefits in a very short period of time. Now, if you have a person that has a severe problem, let's say early stage depression, they could use Nirvana as long as they were doing this under the supervision of their medical doctor. But if they use Nirvana, that might take as long as 3 weeks. So most people will get results in a few days, but people that clinically have an issue, that could take a little bit longer. There's also some other benefits that show up with Nirvana as associated with improvement in the quality of skin, and that you figure would take about 4 weeks or so where the benefits start showing up. And that'll show up as an improved tightness and firmness in the skin. But in any case, the Nirvana patch will help to metabolize the nutrients that are in the natural seaweed extract oral supplement and make those ingredients work very, very quickly. So you don't have to wait a few months. Nirvana begins to work within a few days. Now, I've been asked about patch combinations, and this is a great question. What patches can we use with Nirvana? And as it turns out, Nirvana is a very interesting patch product for us because you could use it either during the day or at night. So a couple of patch combinations are possible depending on what your interest is. So first, let's talk about the main benefit, which is for mood enhancement and stress reduction. Well, obviously, Nirvana is going to be a great combination with Eon. Now, why would you want to use both? Well, you could use Nirvana by itself for stress reduction, but keep in mind that this is reducing emotional stress through elevation of endorphins, and Eon Patch is reducing physical stress in the sense that it's a very powerful anti-inflammatory. So absolutely, you can use Nirvana by itself, get great health benefits, but if you also want a very powerful anti-inflammatory for reducing physical stress on the body, further amplifying the effect, you could use Nirvana with Eon. But certainly Nirvana is a standalone product. Another example might be using Nirvana with the WinFit patch, since that's such a popular product for us. WinFit, of course, is for improving lean muscle, reducing body fat, and as I mentioned before, there is a pathway here where Nirvana can elevate testosterone. Now, I want to be the first one to say that we haven't clinically documented this. This is just some anecdotal feedback. But in any case, just from the point of view of functionality, there's no reason why you can't use Nirvana and the WinFit patch. And of course, to any of these patch combinations, you can add a set of energy patches or IceWave. Now, of course, you can use the Nirvana patch at night, and most people tell us that they get a dramatically improved quality of sleep with using Nirvana. So you may not need to combine it with Silent Nights at all. If you wanted to use an additional patch, I would recommend either Alavita or Carnosine. Carnosine, because it has so many health benefits, it improves the heart, it improves cognitive function, it increases lean muscle. Or you could use the Alavita patch to reduce oxidative stress and further improve the quality of the skin. So you have a lot of good options there if you choose to go that route. And again, beta endorphins are best known for improving mood and reducing pain, but of course there's other benefits, such as it is also an anti-inflammatory. Not surprising because of its connection to pain relief. But one of the things that we get really excited about is the connection between endorphins and the health of the skin. Namely, elevated levels of beta endorphins, as we've tested it, will increase the thickness of the skin, which increases the firmness and the tightness of the skin, and it also elevates collagen production for reducing wrinkles. So, when you have been using Nirvana your first month and you think you look better, yes, you are looking better. It's not your imagination. And of course, I think a great way to know, well, what's Nirvana doing for people? We look at the end of the day, how is this helping people? Suzanne from Germany, as one example, told us that Nirvana to her feels like true joy, like when she's in love. And Wolfgang from Austria shared with us that he was having some emotional challenges in his life, and a good day for him was only going to be a 5, but after just 2 days of using Nirvana, his mood went to a 10. Ken over in Scandinavia told us that using Nirvana made him feel happier and more clear-minded. So this helped him overcome challenges. Sabine from the Isle of Mallorca in the Mediterranean told us that she used Nirvana. She's a leader in the company, and it helped her feel calm under stressful situations. And then finally, Lisa from Germany told us that she's a very punctual person. She was running late for a meeting, but thanks to Nirvana, she remained calm and ended up having a successful meeting. And by the way, all those testimonials were shared with us after just the first few days to a week of using Nirvana. Okay, so we are getting a ton of questions. So I'm going to go to some of the questions that are being written in first. Okay, here's a question: is what's best to use to cure inflammation or the beginning of osteoarthritis? Okay, good question. So first of all, for any of our products, we are not going to claim that they cure or treat any type of disease. If we refer to the use of any of our products with medical conditions, it's for pain relief only. So let's say that someone is suffering with osteoarthritis. What would we recommend? First, I would definitely recommend the Eon patch. Eon patch is a very powerful anti-inflammatory and is going to provide pain relief. There's a number of things going on with osteoarthritis, and of course, Ice Wave can be also used to manage local or systemic pain. Now, with Nirvana, we do expect there to be pain-relieving effects and anti-inflammatory effects. However, because we're still in the pre-launch period and we're focused on mood enhancement, we have not performed a clinical study on the use of Nirvana for pain relief, but we would expect that would be something that would show up. Now, of course, other things could be recommended for osteoarthritis. Curcumin extracts definitely would be recommended, or turmeric extracts, which are curcumin, would definitely recommend that. Also recommend vitamin C, because that's a very powerful anti-inflammatory as well. So there are a number of natural materials, such as curcumin and vitamin C in high doses, that are great anti-inflammatories. And of course, there's many others. Okay. Someone here is saying they're seeing slides, but didn't hear audio, and my audio connection looks good, so hopefully we're okay. Okay, here's a question. I've been waking up more when using Nirvana. Is there a reason for this? I usually use Silent Nights and Carnosine at night. Yes, I think like any product, some people are going to respond differently than others. The majority of people that have used Nirvana say, oh my God, I can't believe how deep the quality of the sleep is, but that doesn't mean everyone is going to react that way. And I can't tell you I know the reason why for that yet. We do know that endorphins can excite brain chemistry and trigger other reactions. However, it would not be common. So that is to say, what I would try doing is reduce the dose back to just 1 pill per day. Maybe use the Nirvana patch. Try using it both during the day and the night and see how you do with that. Okay, and she's also saying that she was combining Nirvana with Alavita. Well, we do know that Alavita will definitely keep a certain percentage of people up, because it does activate the pineal gland, and some people, what they tell us is that their dreams become very intense and they have a hard time sleeping. So I would first try just Nirvana by itself and see how you do with that, and then try combining Nirvana with either Silent Nights or Carnosine, although I would lean a little bit more towards Carnosine. Okay. Okay, so we have a LifeWave friend here, Dr. Dennis Lobstein. one of my favorite doctors in our LifeWave community, and a very, very gifted gentleman. And he has been a speaker on LifeWave webinars in the past. So Dr. Dennis, great to have you here. You know, actually, I often think of DMT as being a bliss molecule, but I suppose that's a separate separate conversation we could have. You know, the answer is we don't know at this point. What we have, Dr. Dennis is asking if Nirvana elevates a specific biochemical in the pineal gland. It's not something we've studied, and we don't know. But it's a good question. My suspicion is probably not, but we don't have any data to say yes or no on that. Okay, can a breastfeeding mom use Nirvana? There isn't a technical reason why. However, we don't perform clinical studies with women that are pregnant or nursing, and so we have to say that we cannot recommend the use of Nirvana or any of our products to women that are pregnant or nursing. Let's see. Will you explain the benefits of using the Alavita patch by itself? Yes. We have, as a matter of fact, covered that on webinars previously, and we don't have time to cover it here in complete detail. I'll do that in a future webinar. But short story is that the Alavita patch by itself reduces levels of oxidative chemicals in the body that would damage the skin and other tissues, and as a result, it helps elevate glutathione and SOD. The Alavita patch also elevates production of a peptide in the pineal gland called epithalamine, and this has been shown to regenerate the thymus and the thyroid, improving immune function. Okay, question. I'm doing a detox with patches. Should I wait to start using Nirvana? Yes, I think I would recommend that. There's probably not a good technical reason why you couldn't start with Nirvana now, but on the other hand, I personally don't believe in using too many patches at the same time. So as an example, typical day for me would be an Eon patch at the back of the neck, a WinFit patch below the belly button, and a set of energy patches. So so I do think you can overpatch. So I would say go through the detox. Your detox may be 1, 2 weeks, even 4 weeks, and then start Nirvana. Okay, is it possible that Nirvana would relieve pain? Absolutely yes. And it's just that we have not done a clinical study on the use of the Nirvana patch in relieving pain, and we're focusing on mood enhancement. So we may get to pain relief eventually. Okay, some other questions here about medical conditions. We only have about a minute left. When wearing patches, oh, here's an interesting one. When wearing patches at night, are dreams an indication of deeper REM sleep? Well, yes. The brain waves, we need to go into delta sleep, or predominance of delta brain waves at night. And it's said that for really good deep quality sleep, about 85% of our brain waves have to be in delta, and this would be associated with a state of dreaming. There's also a phenomena of waking dreams. But yes, if you're using the patches, and some of this, of course, we've studied clinically over the years, but if you're, especially with silent nights, but if you're using the patches, going a very, very deep state of sleep, or using Nirvana, you find that, and you're having intense dreams, yes, that'd be that's a potential indicator of a deeper state of sleep. I would certainly say so. What is the effect of taking Nirvana and glutathione? Well, glutathione, of course, is the master antioxidant in the body. It's going to detoxify the body, support the immune system. So maybe one way to look at it is it makes the internal environment of the body more conducive to stress reduction, and so it would help Nirvana work better. I'd say on a very simple level, that would be a good way to articulate it. There's obviously a lot more going on. I would be if you were interested in detox, use glutathione. But if you want a patch for stress reduction that is synergistic with Nirvana, then I would be using Eon, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. Okay, we are at the bottom of the webinar now, so I'm going to have to run off to something else. But I do want to thank you all for your time. Sorry I couldn't get to all the questions, but we will be here next week talking more about Nirvana, so I hope that you will join me then. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much for being here, and see you next week.